right, Warriors, Patriots, and Preppers. I truly believe the next shoe to drop, the next big event, is going to be a grid down scenario, be it an EMP attack or be it maybe just a cyber attack. And there's a couple different things that are foreshadowing that. And the sooner we prepare for it, the better. If you haven't already been preparing for a grid down, I think you're kind of missing the point of preparedness. To me, that is the one big catastrophic event other than a pandemic, which I thought personally was more outside of the realm of possible just because of the way modern medicine is, than a grid down scenario was, because I understand the frailty and the vulnerability of the grid, be it from a cyber or be it from a nuclear EMP attack. So I've always kind of planned for more of a grid down, complete national grid down scenario. I figure like when you do that, you're kind of covering all your bases, because one of the things that's going to happen during a grid down is going to be a lack of sanitation, which is going to lead to disease spread. So you're kind of preparing for some sort of major health event already when you're preparing for a major grid down. Now, I am very, very surprised at the outcome and the rollout of from the government for everything that has happened so far. I think you would see very similar things if there was a national blackout, if there was a national grid down. I think you would see the National Guard roll out a little bit quicker. A lot of people don't want to act like the National Guard, or have seemed to forgot that they were talking about the National Guard rolling out to help enforce lockdown measures, to help secure borders, to stop interstate travel. So there's still a whole lot of weird stuff on the table if we were to have that. Now, my main reasoning for thinking that grid down is in the playing cards right now is because you're seeing these mass civil unrest, so they're kind of getting you used to the chaos. You're seeing we've seen and we experienced, and a lot of people are still going through major lockdown procedures, so they're kind of conditioning you through that. And then yesterday on June 19th, we had the phone systems go down for a while. I know through my work, and there's a lot of institutions that we work with that are banking related, there have been major cyber attacks going on right now. One to the point where we were completely shut down all last week with one of our primary lenders. And I mean primary lender, like we send 95% of our business to them. We could not conduct business as usual. I was running a telethon in terms of helping people figure out why their payment had an auto draft, how they could make their payment, and you could hear the panic in people's voice, because 2020 has been confusing and strange enough as it is. And when you're already experiencing chaos and turmoil in your life, and some of the things you had going right, like being able to log online and pay your bills, being able to hop on your phone and call somebody you love, when those things got disrupted, I mean, what were people left with? What were some people left with? Not much. And that was just for a few hours yesterday, I believe. Also, you had North Korea this morning, or whatever time their time, so maybe right around the same time, they attacked a liaison building that they had with South Korea. So you're ramping up towards maybe them being able to say it was a tactical nuke deployed by North Korea, and the grid went down. Gives us the catalyst and the reasoning to just go ahead and go full steam into World War III. Now, World War III would be a great diversion and a great way to stop World War II. I'm sure there's some generals, I'm sure there's some think tanks, maybe some people who are even advising POTUS that, hey, you know what, there's a lot of these problems in the world, we need to just go ahead and pop this off. We're bringing to bring back some stability to the country, because everybody's going to rally around America. I think that's a very flawed logic. I think these people in this country who hate America, I don't think they'd care if 9/11 Part 2 happened. I don't think you'd see any rallying together. They'd figure out a way to politicize it and continue to further to divide. So I really, really doubt you're going to see any coming together regardless of what happens in this country. I think unfortunately it's at a point where it's completely fractured and there's no turning around. So, you know, the point of no return, where it's going to be easier to move forward than it will be to go backwards. So I think we need to be mindful of that, because things are not adding up on a global scale. They're not adding up on a domestic scale. And one of the big cards they have to play is a grid down scenario. And maybe a reason they need to postpone the election, because the grid was down, voting machines were down. There's so many things they could do right now. I feel like all the stops have been pulled out. I mean, you got protesters who are constituting their own government now, or their own autonomous zone, which they changed very quickly, by the way. They went from Chaz to Chomp, because it's an Occupy protest now. That was like, I think, like some sort of legal distinction, so they couldn't say it was an autonomous zone, which would give, I believe, the feds the right to just go in there, steamroll them, kick them out, let those commies know we're not playing that shit, which we should have done from the beginning. The day one, when they said this is Chaz, said no, it's not, this is America, and go from there. But I think calling it an Occupy protest gives them some cover. One of the things that led to my awakening, one of the things that led to my prepping, was working security on graveyards at Occupy. I was doing it at the local courthouse. I was actually protecting police vehicles and police personnel as they came into to and from work. I was protecting their private vehicles and protecting the county vehicles, as well as securing the county courthouse. And it was a one-man show. I was doing it all by myself. I learned a lot of lessons. Gave me the ability to face my fears. You know, you have a mob of people late at night, and you're by yourself, and for the most part is essentially unarmed. Mace and baton is all the county would allow me have, which was really not enough, in my opinion. Well, mace, baton, and some cuffs, and all but the baton I had to use at one point. So it was quite a learning experience there, but it helped me wake up, and it helped me realize that this leftist agenda doesn't make any sense, that they're not really for the change they want, because it was a drug fest. It was a big recreational party. You had a lot of people taking advantage of the situation, and you couldn't get any clear, coherent, concise solutions from the people who were there, who you would ask them, you know, what are you against? Like, what do you oppose? Like, you should be able to very clearly articulate what you oppose, as well as you should be able to very clearly articulate what you're for. And they weren't able to do that. So that's how I kind of cut my teeth in terms of getting into prepping, awakening up to the world agenda that's going on. Spend a lot of time listening to podcasts and YouTubes and all that as you walk around and you do your job, and you have some downtime to fill. But anyways, yeah, I think the big thing out there is going to be a grid down, and we need to prepare accordingly. We need to stay ready. We need to stay vigilant. The riot and the protest are very regional and very localized. The thing that we've all been dealing with right now is obviously global, so we're all having to take precautions on so many fronts. So if you've been prepping for a long time, like I have myself, this should give you a lot of justification to what you've been doing. You should feel proud of yourself. You shouldn't feel ashamed anymore if you had. I know a lot of preppers feel embarrassed or ashamed that they're wasting money on resources they're never going to use. I know a lot of people are cracking into stuff, even like their short-term and long-term food supplies. And it's all for the good. If you're prepping, you're never going to go wrong doing it. We're at full spectrum prep right now. We need to be like checking everything out, paying attention to everything. Every day you wake up is a day to be a prepper. It's a day to be focused. I always talk about Mission 2024. We're working on our fitness. I woke up early and did that today. We got up at 6:45, got to the gym, got my 45 minutes of fasted cardio in, staying focused on that aspect of Mission 2024, which is fitness, doing my prepping basics. I got my bug out bag right next to me. I'm keeping it in the front seat right now in case I'm caught off guard by some protest. Survival skills, keeping all my stuff on me. We went camping earlier this month, got to practice some survival skills there. And then group building, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to build a group, trying to build a network, trying to build a community, being nicer, kinder, and friendlier to people in my area, and trying to work with people who I know prep now, or at least interested in it, and build up those normals for us. So I encourage you guys to do that, to stay prepared, to stay ready.